Welcome back to Heart with me, Shakti Sundari. And I'm truly excited and honoured to be here this morning for an interview with Meg Pappenheim and Pat Kadek, otherwise known as Meg and Dek, who together with Richard Webber are the co-founders of the Bali Spirit Festival, which of course this year is in its 10th anniversary. So welcome to you, Meg and Dek. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us, because I'm sure you must be super busy organising this amazing event. And also I want to say congratulations, it's your 10th anniversary.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
How does that feel for you?
Well, it seems to happen so quickly and it unfolds every year. Like, we don't even know that one is over and the next one starts, and then all of a sudden it was 10 years. So for us, well, for me, it doesn't really feel like it's a big deal. However, it feels as though everything's finally dropped in, and this is the first year we've really gotten a lot right, and I can relax into it. And Kadek's done this beautiful, amazing job of building out the entire venue better than ever before, and it just happened. Yeah, it was magical.
It's really good that we've been struggling to find kind of the right place to be. The other place was really good, but it's just getting too small, you know, with everything.
The old venue.
Right, the old venue. But right now we have this incredible site over here, even though we have to drive ourselves nuts, you know, because the new site it's bigger and it's just new things. But it's all good. It's all good.
And when you set out, when you first started with Bali Spirit Festival, did you have the intention for it to be a yearly thing? Or was it just, oh, let's create this festival? Like, how did it start? How did it come about?
So,
do we know what we're doing?
He's kind of a bigger visionary than I am in some ways, because the first year that we talked about doing Bali Spirit, it was my idea and my concept, and I pitched it to Robert Webber, who's the third partner in the festival. And I pitched it to him because I love world music, and I really wanted to bring world music to Bali so that the Balinese could experience what I experienced growing up in New York City, right? So I pitched this idea, and then Rob said, yeah, let's do it. And we were like, okay, we're gonna do it. And we took walks around Ubud to try and find a venue, and Kadek took us to this amazing place, and he was ready to sign a 20-year contract. And I was like, are you kidding? We're only gonna do this once, you know? And he was like, well, we need $250,000, and this is, you know, years ago. And I was like, $250,000? We only have like $5,000. That was at the beginning. And so he already saw the possibility, and I was fixated on like the 1 year, which is amazing. So we didn't know what we were gonna get into, and here we are 10 years later.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I came here to see how massive, how vast the scale of the festival is. How do you manage such a huge undertaking? What's the secret to making it run so smoothly?
I think
adrenaline.
If I may say something about what she said earlier, it's very true. You know, maybe my background as a local, you know, who live with the dirt road, when we would have no tourism, have nothing really, and seeing the changes, the physical changes, and then how many people brought into it, and what is the spirit of Bali basically, you know, which attract people in. I just basically simply want to create an event, a space where people could come from all over the world and have a really great experience. And luckily that we are mixed marriages, so we kind of in a crossing road have to create that kind of bridging. So this bridge basically is created for those who are interested to see Bali, and for us who want to share about what we have here. So never think about it's gonna last for 10 years, I don't know, but you know, I just have a dream like this could be something we could share to the world, you know, away from politics or anything, because there's a common sense of languages, of art, music and spirituality. Everybody kind of, you know, have
Everyone can relate on that level.
So where does your vision for that come from? So you're native to Bali. So how did this sense of creating a worldwide event that brings in all these different people from around the world, where does that come from in you?
I think it's just growing up in Ubud, you know, like tourism was in Bali basically introduced to the world back in 1930. It was started in Ubud with art and spiritual and all of these activities. And I happened to be growing up in the background of the family. My family is really big. All of them was basically, you know, specializing in art, spiritual and social work in the community, and been like creating all of this media locally. You know,
so
like
you're already doing, your family's already been doing this kind of thing?
I started building sarcophagus and all of that with my grandparents, and I was 6 years old. So
Building what, sweetie?
sarcophagus for cremation.
Sarcophagus for the cremation.
So that's our thing. You know, walking in the temple. You know, like 3 of my uncle is a priest, and I have the highest priest in my family, and you know, my parent is artist and all
Well,
of
so
that.
the unique thing with Kadek is that he, as a young person, grew up in Ubud, which is already a global, at that time it was a global town, but there was maybe only 20 to 30 expat type of people, and then the tourists. And he was blessed with a piece of property right in the center of Ubud, which is where kind of like our unit is, our business is and our home and everything. Yeah. But he was smack in the middle of one of the main streets in Ubud, and so from a very young age, he was already open to the global community. And then he worked in a hotel at some point, and then he went to university, and then he traveled to California in his early 20s, and he lived in California in Humboldt County, and then did other traveling before he met me even. So he was already aware. His family has never really traveled very much, and they're very village, and they're amazing, good, grounded, beautiful people. But Kadek was the one who had his mind kind of open, and then when we got together,
I'm the black sheep of my family.
Yeah, he was the radical black sheep. So when we got together in 1992, 94, 95, we traveled a lot, all over the United States and in other places. We were looking to find a home somewhere, and we ended up, as we kept looking to find a home in other places, we grounded more here and you know, opened up various things.
That's another thing also, just being out of Bali, then give me an opportunity to see Bali from outside. And also, you know, being in California on and off, just, you know, not really long term, but 1 month, and then I go back and something like that. I was hanging out at Reggae on the River. There's the biggest reggae concert in California.
That's right.
Reggae on the River?
Reggae on the River.
In Humboldt County, California.
And then also I have a chance, you know, a friend of mine asking me to come and visited the Eugene Country Fair in Portland, Oregon. So this kind of thing, you know, I saw the space about, gee, it would be good to have that kind of things, but based on the Balinese spirit.
So what is the Balinese spirit? This is called Bali Spirit Festival, right? So what is the Bali Spirit?
What is Bali Spirit? Probably, for me, from my side of view, basically, as a local here, we were taught from the beginning, life could be wonderful and harmonized if the 3 pillars of life could be harmoniously relate to each other. There's a spirituality, humanity, and environment. So in order to create a good harmonized living, these 3 aspects of life have to be harmonized one to each other. You know, we are, as a human, as the central of the activities, we have the energy. You know, we are the big key players to do whatever we want to do with the world, right? And so personally, we have the spiritual call, which is basically, that's our personal freedom. And that's up to you what you want to do with it. But the humanity and environment, there's a common sense. All of us have to take care of it. And in Bali, we do it through, physically, we walk through the community, and also spiritually, there's a lot of celebration done, just to balance it out. So we need to bring it out, a combination of physical work and a spiritual work. It's basically reading the life to be harmonized.
Is there any particular spiritual practice or religion that underpins the Bali Spirit?
A spiritual practice?
No.
Well, I'm an atheist. And I'm a Jewish girl from New York who's really an atheist who married a Hindu. So we're the Hindu family. But really, my personal belief is that spirituality comes from within, and religion is your own religion. And so for Bali Spirit Festival, there is no religion. It's just be you. And I guess you could say that the baseline of Bali Spirit is that if you can find yourself and you can be happy with who you are, then you are your own religion, right? And your radiance expands out and affects other people. And that's really the key thing for Bali Spirit. The goal is that people walk in the door, and after 5 days they've had a personal shift, and that personal shift allows them to go back out in the world and make a difference, whatever difference that is. It's just the real interesting dynamic that's a discussion is that Bali, or Ubud in itself, has turned into this mecca for spiritual tourism, but the Balinese themselves, the younger generation, are losing their connection to spirituality and the earth. And it's going in a different direction, and that's a real interesting discussion that we have on a regular basis with the elders of of Bali and Ubud in particular, that they remember how Bali was before and where they came from, and the new generation is losing that, and how do we bring it together? Because the development and the tourism happens so quickly here that there's no room for catch up. So one of, I think a key role that BaliSpirit Festival can play is giving an opportunity for Balinese to come and experience what we've created, to experience the world that comes here for this purpose and integrate in this festival. Like, it's taking them a long time to come to our festival. They really, the locals have a hard time because they work 7 days a week. Right, and their schedules are different, and they can't take off like we can. So we've actually created school programs. We have school children that come into the festival, and then on the weekends we give out free passes for the music festival to college students, and we have a intercultural.
Also, we have family days
and a conference. But the goal would be to try and have people come in, experience what we have to offer, and be like, oh, this is what the world is. Maybe we can find our own spirituality, because perhaps the old generational Balinese Hinduism, as was known by his parents and him, doesn't work in this new modern culture.
Right.
It's interesting.
Right, it is interesting. So it's a completely shifting thing.
It's a shift.
And you also have, like, most of the people who are volunteering here are presumably also local indigenous
A lot of them.
people.
Yes, we have a wonderful Indonesian team, just phenomenal. Yeah, really
I think
lucky.
what BaliSpirit Festival did basically at the same time, one thing good about it, this has become like a filter for those who come to Bali.
A filter?
For the tourists who come to Bali. We have this yoga music and dance, so of course it's people who are more interested in that kind of area. We're not building a bar where all of the drunk people come. So it's give a really good impact, and then also reminding the Balinese why those people come to Bali. What do we offer? There's a certain aspect of spirituality. There's a healthy living concept. There's care for environment. There's a humanity. At least we're reminding our own people also. This is why the people coming in. So it's not just attracting people come to Bali, but also as a reminder for the Balinese people, we do have something special. And it's up really to us right now. We cannot go back to 10 years ago, my older generation, to show Bali that way. But right now, I didn't have sarong. I'm still Balinese, right? So this is a different case.
So taking all of that into account, have you kind of now got a vision for where you'd like to take the festival forward into the future? Like, do you have a new vision, or?
I think we would like to grow it probably another 50%.
Wow.
Yeah, as far as people, and get more and more Indonesians and Asians to come into the festival. And really pinpoint our message stronger. It's taken us this 10 years just to finally get the logistics and the programming, and it's been a huge journey just to be this successful. We're not a financially successful festival. We run on adrenaline, and it's terrific. So the next step would be, now that we're finally solid logistically, to pinpoint the message, which is to make a shift in the world, and come on everyone, come on, join. And get the right people in the room, because usually what happens at a festival like this is there's people that come who are already converted. Yeah, we all know the message and we're already practicing. We actually want the people who haven't converted yet to come in the door and allow them to have the opportunity to understand and shift. So that's the direction that I think we both wanted to go in.
I got a couple of questions with friends or people coming in. You have to grow it big, But if we think back about the original idea, it's not a matter about numbers. It's a matter of the quality. What could you offer? If we could raise another 50%, that's probably the max thing we can do, because basically we want everybody to still have the special experience, and we still carry out the message and still manageable to us.
Yeah.
So how, just out of curiosity, from the first year to now, what are the numbers though? Just not financial, I mean in terms of the number of
quantity
people?
of people. I think this year we probably have anywhere between 800 to 1,000 people on the grounds every day.
No, we got more than that.
We've sold about 700 tickets, right? And then on the weekend, there's anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500 a night. So let's say an average of 6,000 people over the weekend. But our production budget is huge. It's like ridiculous. And really, we really do run on adrenaline, and we run on fun. So in the last 3 weeks of the festival, I'm like, buy this, do this, let's have this, let's go.
Yeah, my accountant back home, I always have a heart attack every year. It's kind of, like, we're having fun to do whatever we want, but our office workers in the backside, like, oh God, trouble coming.
Yeah.
But if we think about the quantity of the people who attend the festival from the first time, we're only able to get like 250 people the first time.
No, 150.
150.
I said it. I remember that because 150 people came and we lost $75,000 in the first year. And I said it was the best party I'd ever thrown. Most expensive party, but the best party I'd ever thrown.
Even some people said like, oh, how much money with all of this ticket sale and all of that? How much money you bring? Like, well, we bring a lot of money, but honestly, the festival is a party. The festival is not the money makers nowadays. And why we're benefiting from the festival, that we be able to spread the benefit, the economic result of the festival. And from here directly, our finance is negative. But among all of these 1,000 people on the side, we have business somewhere else where we're making money. So they came there and spent their money on it. But this one is we're lucky enough that we be able, break even a little bit over it and to run it for the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're just assuming that this is the way how we advertise our businesses. This is the way how we could lift people awareness about, like to be in a
and advertise
industry.
Everyone's businesses inside.
And everybody benefiting to that one.
Yeah.
And we hired local drivers during the festival.
So everyone in the community is...
I mean, there's 40 amazing little build-out guys that are running around in t-shirts doing everything, and then there's another 40 people who are helping with the recycling, and then there's 100 drivers that get employed, and
that's $8,000 for the farmers.
Every single one of these people rents a hotel room in Ubud. We've done the numbers. It generates millions of dollars for the economy, and it's great. Yeah.
So I know that on top of running this festival, you have many other business ventures and social enterprises as well.
Yeah.
How on earth do you manage it all?
Well, we have a wonderful team. We have a wonderful team. Yeah, phenomenal team. Yeah.
I think the success of this festival and what we do is not just because two of us. We have really great people working for us. People who just start working with us in the first year we build our business, just stick with us around. I don't know why, but it seems like things will be good, and then there's such a great people we have around. Come to the point where you're able to delegate something to the people, you just give them opportunity to prove it, and they really work well.
But also, like you've said, you're both still very actively involved in the hands-on day-to-day management of this.
She does.
Yeah.
I'm just a builder.
He visualized, all the bamboo bridges that you see, and I mean, he did all of that stuff, the engineering and build out and all of that. He's also obviously community development and working the spiritual background, like when the priests are here and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he's doing a lot. And we run these outreach programs. We have an HIV information program for Balinese youth and a reforestation program. So kind of what happens is I'm kind of the idea crazy person, and a couple of years ago I said, we got to do something for HIV, and so I came up with some idea and we made it work, and then he became a spokesperson for HIV and AIDS awareness in Bali. He's the spokesperson. I was on to the next thing, so let's do bamboo reforestation, and then let's go replant Bali. So that was kind of a crazy idea, and then he took that over. And now he's done a phenomenal work in eastern Bali, where we've planted how many hectares of bamboo?
15,000 bamboo trees.
The concept is that bamboo is a grass, right? And when you plant it, originally in the beginning it takes quite a lot of water to develop, but once it gets to year 3 or year 4, it actually begins to pull water out of the atmosphere into the ground and creates underground streams. So this particular area of East Bali, it's the poorest and the driest on the east end of Mount Batur.
The process of it could be explained like bamboo taking a lot of water, but also bamboo evaporate a lot of water. So in the dry land there's no evaporation. When the cloud passing by, the cloud just pass away.
Right.
They're gonna just come down and drop the rain.
Got it.
There.
Yeah. So the concept is that within 10 years there'll be underground streams of water in this area that's all dry, and they'll be able to tap water. So that's a long-term goal for that program.
You guys are so visionary. Have you, like, you know, you've spoken a little bit about your spiritual background, your family, how you're really rooted in this social, cultural community yourself. And you, like, where does this visionariness come from within you and this entrepreneurial spirit that you have? Have you always been there?
Yeah, since I was a kid, always. Yeah, and I'm still doing it. I mean, the latest project that we've added onto this one is the Bali Conference, which is a world music conference for Balinese students. So that happens on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Arma. It started today, and there are all these students that are meeting the musicians from the festival, and that's really awesome. And he has his own set of visions, and I have my own set of visions. He's recently started an organic farm, which is pretty amazing, working with local farmers about an hour away from here. Yeah.
I just, you know, like, for us, basically, we never, like, let go of opportunity. There's a chance given to us, or in front of us, to do something where it could involve and to make the life as a better place to live. And we have these 3 restaurants, you know, buying a lot of, like, supply, vegetable, all of that stuff, you know. And also, I just want to make sure that whatever we ship to our customers is a good thing. You know, like, there's a really big movement right now about organic farming. Yeah. So the plant we have right now, the garden we have right now, well, it's not really organic, but it's organically grown. It needs some process to be able to reach that one. So I think it will be a showcase to see people, a complex type of businesses. What could you do? Business is not just about making money, but also have its own special social and education mission to educate people.
Right.
So he's been wanting to do permaculture workshops for people, and yeah.
You know, like, when there's a place to share, why not, right?
So that's his vision. I'm like, I'm not a farmer. I'm going to do the science.
She didn't even know that I've been working at a farming for 5 months and producing things for our restaurant.
So listen, I'm going to ask you guys about your relationship, because it's also a really big part about
I didn't see her for 5 days because of the festival.
Travel a lot. I travel a lot.
She went to America, and all of a sudden I said, I'm in Cuba, right?
How long have you been together?
Long time.
We've known each other since 1992.
92.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do the maths right now.
Yeah, 15 years. No, 25 years. We've known each other for 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Luckily, it's still there.
And we have a 9-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how, you know, when you first met, did you know from the start that you were going to be together? I mean, is this one of these twin flame or soulmate stories? Or is that just projecting some kind of romantic thing onto it? Like how?
I don't know. It was really interesting, and we wrote later for 2 years. You know, like, we met for 2 weeks in the beginning of it. She had to leave Bali because she was
you were over here studying?
I was doing a study program in 1992, yeah.
Yeah, we wrote letter for 2 years, and we thought that we lost each other. And the next thing I noticed, he was like, I'm here in Bali, and somehow she never left. So that was 95.
That was 95, January 95.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're still sitting here working together, co-creating together, getting along, even if you don't see each other.
We do everything.
For 5.
Well, I think our relationship has definitely shifted. You know, it's we're almost like, in a way it's a twin flame, but we're also just like, we have a lot of respect for each other, and we give each other a lot of freedom to do whatever it is that we need to do, because what's important for Kadek as a Balinese is it's rooted in him, and I can't necessarily relate 100% to what his experience is. Right. And
so you've got cultural and linguistic differences as well.
Yeah, and what's important to me and for me personally is very different, and he has a lot of respect for that, and he can't really relate to that. So I grew up in New York City, you know, and I went to the United Nations International School, and I'm pretty much like a global citizen. Yes. And he grew up in Ubud, Bali. And, you know, so our roots are different. It's really true when you say as you get older, you become more of who you are, I think. So we're in that transition point in our relationship where we're becoming more of who we are, and just have tremendous respect for that. And we work so well together, and we raise our children so beautifully together, and we love each other very much. Yeah, it's great. So we're good.
It is a very interesting, you know, like, not talking about two of us with a completely different background culturally. and also different backgrounds socially as well. But being in this kind of, you know, relationship, I think there's a lot to be shared.
There's a lot of challenges.
Good challenges. You know, we have wonderful kids, and if there's no different cultures in between, I don't think we'll be able to create this stuff.
Well, yeah, that's the gift, I guess, of what you've done, is because you're bringing that diversity together and all your many gifts.
She loved to dance. She danced for 4 nights on the road. She slept in the festival side. I sleep at home with the kids. And so, you know, as far as, you know, we there, we make a call sometime, and then like, yeah, you're doing sometime, but we didn't call each other at all, but we know that she's here and I'm home and all of that stuff. It's completely, you know, a different kind of ways. I think loving somebody just, you know, you have to love somebody, whoever they are.
What would you say is a secret to like having such a harmonious life together?
Well,
I think the biggest
it's
part
not
is
always
ego.
that harmonious. I think it goes through stages. So we're in a really good stage right now.
I think the best thing.
It's good to ruffle some feathers sometimes.
Yeah, always, you know, like just like in locally we said, when you eat, there's plate and fork and spoon. You know, always making some sound.
Right.
But they always could work together as a team. And it's just like the biggest thing I think we could do for our partners, basically, we just respect them for who they are.
Respect.
And give them the freedom to be who they are.
Whatever they want to do, as far as we all being so clear about what's going on.
Yeah.
And then for me, basically, she's just a tremendous support of what I'm doing, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to support the warehouse here. And we have this wonderful kid, I think, as the implementation of our love, you know, like that's really wonderful. And
do they get involved with the festival, your children?
I think they feel like they own the festival, actually. They, you know, our son is always telling us how we can do things better.
He's such a... He even criticized
the t-shirts. He told us how to do the t-shirts better.
He criticized the t-shirt and he said like, oh, it have to have a logo of the Bali Spirit, right? This is no logo. How is it the people identify that's Bali Spirit t-shirt? Yeah, they're special kids.
So going back to the vision thing, I'm hoping, so the Bali Spirit model, it's not a commercial model, and it's not about just getting a bunch of people to do yoga and perfect their poses. That's not really it. It's really about getting a community engaged and doing it in Bali with all of the outreach work, like I talked about the HIV and the reforestation and the conference, all that kind of stuff that we do. There are other places in the world that could use events like this, and part of my vision has been to do this elsewhere. So we're talking about doing Jamaica Spirit Festival, Cuba Spirit Festival, and
this morning, I met this woman who organizing event in Colombia.
Okay.
She was like, after she find out that I'm one of the companies, she was like, is there a way we could bring Bali Spirit Festival become a Colombian Spirit Festival?
Sure.
Like, of course.
So people have already taken the concept and done spirit festivals all over. There's Byron Spirit and there's East Coast Spirit and blah, blah, blah. But my goal is to actually go into at least one more country that can use development work. And that really could use a shift in consciousness on some level, and I believe that actually Jamaica is probably #1 on the list. There's quite a few Jamaicans here this year making the bridge, and we could help that island quite a lot energetically. So I think we're going to do a Jamaica Spirit Festival in the next 2 years, and in my trip to Cuba I made connections to do something there, and we'll see. But bringing this kind of positive energy to those places and making sure that the locals integrate into the event, I think, is paramount. Yeah,
I love it. It just keeps on expanding.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, okay, so just in closing, what is your dream for yourselves right now? I mean, you've talked about the future for Bali Spirit, expanding internationally, so many more projects. What about you?
If I could speak just, for me basically, well, we do creating this kind of wonderful stuff, right? The next thing is basically how we could create the next team.
The next
team.
The
next generation or whatever you call it. You know, like we're starting this thing. To keep this thing alive, basically, we need to continue.
Right.
It's not about creating one thing, but also creating the whole team who could take over. Then,
what about you personally?
well, for me, basically, I will be happy enough if there's somebody who could continue their one, like my personal thing. I want to be just go out and farming and just come to the festival. Oh, he was the one who started the festival, and then and be proud that we have people who could continue.
You want to go out and farm?
And I think the other thing also, basically, my big dream, basically, how this festival could be the windows of the diversity of Indonesia. Right now we have also our people from Kalimantan, the Dayak tribe, presenting their art. Indonesia is not just about Bali.
Sure.
We have about 12,000 islands and hundreds of tribes and cultures. And so far in the tourism industry, Bali is the one who stood out. And how we could use Bali as a showcase to be able to open the window for all of us out there. So not just like, oh, I'm going to Bali, but when I ask like, where are you from? I'm from Bali. I'm from Indonesia. Where's Indonesia? I would rather people recognize the country just through the Bali Spirit Festival. So I want the Bali Spirit Festival could contributing, what we created could contributing in a good way. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add in terms of a final dream or vision?
I think I'm having my midlife awakening, which is great. It happens in your 40s. They say crisis, but I realized it's an awakening. And there's a lot of women friends of mine who are in the same 40-year-old, 45-year-old range that seem to be going through this. And so I'm like totally enjoying it. So that's my goal, is to just really have the best 40s that I possibly can. Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Meg and Dek, for sharing your time, your wisdom, just a little bit about your story. It's been absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much that you've shared, and I feel we could talk more and more and more, but it's just really wonderful to have heard a little bit of your story and your vision, and just, it's very exciting. Very exciting. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching once again, and join me next time here on Heart to Heart with me, Shakti Sundari.